Hi, my name is Sasha. Thanks for being here. This is about child's pose, or adho, mukha, virasana. Adho is downward, mukha is face. Vira is the posture of the legs, sitting on the shins. And there are a couple variations if you can't do the full posture, so we'll explore a few of them. Why is this pose important? It opens up the lung tissue in the back. It's important to be able to breathe 360 and not just stuck in the front. It's very soothing for the nervous system. In this downward facing motion, this forward fold motion, it's really introspective, again, very soothing, present moment, calming, especially with the forehead placed on something in the center, like this third eye area in the center of the eyebrows. It can elongate the arms and the side of the body where there's also the lungs. It can elongate the abdomen where there's the organs, digestive organs, reproductive organs. So you can do this posture on your cycle if you're experiencing digestive issues, if you're just needing a moment to yourself. There's anxiety, having the back and the back of the lungs facing upward and open and exposed in that sense can be really calming. You can do this if you're pregnant, etc., etc. So it's great. It's also a way to compress the thighs down into the calves, and there can be often stress in the calves. So good for stress release, basically, and also just feels really good. It's a good break pose if you're in a yoga class and you're like, cannot continue, must rest. This is a good resting moment. So classically, adho mukha virasana, you're sitting on the heels. So the big toes come together. The knees are just slightly apart. They don't have to be super, super wide. It's just to fit the torso. And you're sitting on the heels. That is part one. That's important for me, for you, to actually descend the butt. Because if you're in child's pose and your butt is up here, your back and your hips are using too much effort and you're not going to receive the benefits, the restorative benefits of the pose. So if you cannot sit on your heels, you use a pillow or something else under the heels. You can use 5 pillows, it doesn't matter. But whatever allows you to descend your butt down. If your shins are really sensitive, you can also double up your mat, but just make sure it's on your whole shin. So you could fold the mat over completely and put your whole shin on the mat if you need to. So again, you're seated on something. That is part one. Part two is walking the hands forward, the arms forward, without lifting the butt. So as you walk the hands forward, they're about the width of the shoulders, and the butt goes down and back. The hands go forward and down. The arms go forward. So if the elbows rest, it can kind of sink the weight downward, and we do want the weight to go downward in the chest and the back, the middle back specifically, but we want the arms to be active because that will create more space from the outer hip all the way to the fingers and inside this side rib, side lung area. So we walk the arms forward and then we put the forehead down. If you can't put the forehead down, you use like the corner of a pillow and you can kind of tuck your arms under. You can use a folded blanket. You can use a block. It's just not super comfortable and it can kind of prevent the chest from going down because you want this upper back to go down. Another option if you want to create some shoulder stabilization is to put blocks under the hands. And that's really, really nice to put the shoulder blades on the back and to extend the arms in a really lovely, long, spacious way. And then when you're breathing into the side of the lungs and the back. And this is good to know if you're a student or a teacher of yoga, because you can always help your students into variations of the pose. And finally, if you can't do any of these things and you can't be on your knees for some reason, you can sit. So I'm just going to use my couch since it's right here. And you can also have blocks if you need. You can sit with your feet about the width of the mat, and you can go forward and you can stretch your hands on the blocks or on the floor. And just breathe here. But it's not to like crunch the torso. You want space. The goal is to create space again from the outer hip to the armpit. So you can kind of crawl yourself forward. If you don't have blocks, you can kind of just like crawl, creepy crawl your fingers and let your head and your upper back and your chest go down. And you're breathing. And the knees are slightly in. So you're not like letting the inner thigh just splay out to the side. And that's the same for a regular child's pose too. So let's just do that together one time. Good old child's pose, Adho Mukha Virasana. You don't need any props. You can use whatever you need. So find your seat, and then once you're seated and your knees are just enough apart, you can walk the hands forward. And again, the thighs don't press inward, but they're not like rolling and just hanging out to the sides. There's just a little bit of a tension there. And you reach the arms forward and you let the butt go back, and then you just let everything rest in this place. So there's a little activity in the arms. You might feel the ribs against the inner thighs here as you breathe. There's just a little bit of a tension in the legs, so you're not completely rolling onto the outer leg. You're just on the middle of the shin. One more breath. Just enjoy breathing into the whole torso. You can kind of push the hands actively forward, roll the armpits in towards the ears, and let the hips go back and breathe into the whole torso. And when you come up, you can just walk your hands back and sit up. And that rolling of the arm that I just mentioned is the armpit rolling in towards your face, because that places the shoulder blade on the back in a really nice way. And that will even prepare you for other poses like downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. So I hope that was helpful. If you're ever having just a weird day, or you need a few moments to take a breath, or you need to elongate and create space in your back, if your legs are tired and you want to compress your legs, if you're having some digestive issues and you want to elongate, again, this is not to compress the belly, it's to elongate and create space. This can be a great pose for that. So explore it and let me know what you think. Hope it helps.